during this incredibly over-the-top mourning period for the Queen, this was like her funeral processional. For me, you can just tell a lot about somebody in your personal life if they're genuinely upset about the Queen dying. But there was a young person who decided to go to the funeral proceedings, and his name is Rory, I believe. He ended up getting arrested, and he was arrested because of what he heckled at Prince Andrew. Now, people might remember Prince Andrew from Jeffrey Epstein's Black Book, and also as his close personal friend. Jeffrey Epstein has been accused, I mean, not Jeffrey Epstein, I'm sorry. Prince Andrew has been accused, like, very, very reputably by a woman
incredibly
who has a ton of evidence about this, who was, as a young girl, sex trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein and was assaulted by Prince Andrew for his own like personal pleasure, and there's photos of them together and stuff. And she told her story where she talked about how he was sweating all over her, and he infamously went on British media and said, "Well, I don't sweat. I couldn't sweat. It's impossible because I have a rare medical condition where I don't sweat."
I had an adrenaline increase from my time in the war.
Oh, I'm sure you did. I'm sure. And like in the middle of the interview, he's sweating bullets as he tries to lie. So this guy is just he's a predator and a vile individual. And so young Rory here heckled him in the middle of this processional, and it was quite gratifying.
God bless that kid.
So here he gets beat up, essentially.
Snatched away.
Disgusting! Oh, yeah, I've done nothing wrong.
Well,
you did something right, Rory.
Yes.
Oh, I've done nothing wrong.
He said "oi" before, right?
I've done nothing wrong.
Oi.
I think
You're a sick old man.
You're a sick old man, Andrew.
True, facts.
Yeah. That's Scottish is more fun than the traditional, the British hoity-toity one, but this one is easier for me to do. Yes.
I mean, this is why you can't defend this system, and it needs to be abolished. And even like. And it's not people being like party poopers about that. This is another story from news.sky or Sky News. Despicable amateur football teams in Sheffield face punishment for playing after Queen's death. The cancellation of football right down to the grassroots level in the days of the Queen's death was criticized by many who questioned why sports such as horse racing, cricket, and rugby continued as planned. And these guys basically like said, okay, I guess our football match has been canceled. Let's instead do it as a friendly. And then someone said, oh no, we've been snitched. First of all, whoever snitched to the authorities about some guys playing soccer after the Queen died is unbelievable. But this is a sick culture. And it'd be one thing if the UK had its politics sorted out and it was in any way sort of like a model for how to run a modern something like democracy, but it's not. It's an absolute mess. So I think you start at the top. The fish rots from the head.
And there's some of these things that are some of these stories coming out about like what is closing down out of respect for the Queen is unbelievable. Like I saw one where some like religious minister, Catholic minister, Christian minister, whatever over there was calling a local food pantry for literally a place where people who can't afford food can go and pick up food every day, calling them to make sure they were planning on closing down out of respect for the Queen. Like unbelievable.
It's just nationalism. It's just nationalism and like this connection to older British heritage, which what the monarchy represents of that heritage is centuries and centuries of colonialism and exploitation and blood and murder. And that is what is personified by the spoils of the British royal family. And that's why they have hundreds of millions of dollars to spend because of that legacy.
And it's just like, it's subjugation. You're celebrating subjugation when you celebrate the monarchy. Like we should be a subject to this family.
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Just like the highest tier of cuck mindset, the highest tier of bootlicking is to be like a monarchist, to like assert that there should be this naturalized hierarchy where people like Prince Andrew, entirely by nature of their birth, should be considered more valuable to society than you are. It's like if you believe that, even if it's for like symbolic or representational reasons, not a normal thing to believe.
No,
sorry,
really quick, Binder, because I just have this clip. But like the cuck mindset is that like is personified by the fact that they are worshiping this guy now, this little loser weasel. Look at him. He tries to write with a pen and throws a hissy fit because he's been born in royalty his entire life, and this person is supposed to be His Majesty now, Charles, trying to write with an ink pen and losing his shit.
He looks like the old-timey villain in some of these movies that we watch in America, like, where like the oil baron wants to close down like an orphanage. That's what like, Charles looks like. Only in Europe, or rather only in the UK, is this like, the face of leadership.
I just had to put, is it September 12th?
13th, sir.
Oh God, I'm the wrong date. 13.
Yes, sir.
You saw 12 earlier.
Where did I put the 12th? I saw the 10th. Oh God, I hate this.
Oh look, it's going everywhere. Hang on.
The Thick of It, Series 6. Get me a goddamn pyro.
So Camilla does it for him. Camilla did it for him. There's other videos of him getting upset at the fountain pen. It's so funny.
I mean, oh no, he put down the wrong date. On what? What are these documents? They're meaningless, right? I mean, this is all for show.
He's just signing for like the funeral.
Right. It's like just like TV. Like it's the equivalent of when on an episode of WWE Monday Night Raw, two wrestlers get in the ring for a contract signing. It doesn't matter. There is no contract signing. The match is going to happen whether the contract is signed or not, because that contract signing is a written storyline. It doesn't mean anything. It's not legally binding. It doesn't mean anything.
And then they like fight and get into an altercation. One of them gets the better of the other one, like really illustratively signs the contract on the clipboard, being like, "I'll see you at SummerSlam."
Right. I mean, if every match required a contract, there would need to be another 2 hours just for everyone to sit down and sign a contract before a match. The matches happen regardless of these for-show contract signings.
This is pro wrestling. Like this is pure kayfabe stuff. This is just like, I'm signing a.
I would love for like
I'm signing a vassal certificate or something like.
You know what? I don't even get it. Like these guys, like I would understand I would get it a little bit if like this family was like super charismatic, personality bubbling all over the place. Everyone likes watching them because they're entertaining and fun or whatever. They're the most boring people I've ever seen in my life. There's nothing there. The Queen was so boring.
She had dogs though.
Yeah, I mean,
the dogs were a menace, apparently.
Oh.
But they look cool on photographs.
They do. I mean, I guess it's all fun and games that this is like symbolic and this is like tied to like the heritage and the culture and all that stuff, but it costs real money. The cost that they have been predicting for not just like the direct spend, but the cost to the UK for like having all of these events surrounding her death. As I was saying like last week, we didn't have any numbers, but I think now this tweeted out that it was going to be close to $7 billion. And, that just seems like a lot when the country is heading into a recession or is in a recession, or there, whatever you call the prediction that 70% of pubs are going to be shut down due to like energy bills. It just seems like it's not the greatest time to be spending a lot of public resources on what people insist is a symbolic thing, right?
Yeah. Well, then if it's so symbolic, then there should be like less emotional attachment to it, but there just seems to be more. And frankly, I mean, I don't know. If you're still supportive of this system, I don't think there's any logic behind it. I think it has a lot more to do with a a viewpoint about British heritage that is intrinsically tied with, as I mentioned, colonialism and racism. And like, this is what you're supporting: a dude that throws a hissy fit because his pen doesn't work, and all of his staff scramble as if it's, you know, there's been an attack on the country to help fix his pen. It's silly in the 21st century for this to still exist.
It's also funny that the best argument pro monarchy people can muster is like what about all the tourism that it like leads to? And I'll just say this: if England abolishes the monarchy and becomes a republic, I will travel there once a year.
Yep. Same.
That to me is always kind of like clearly a fake argument, because if this was really going to be run like a business, like, oh no, the monarchy is like a business that we as the United Kingdom sort of like sort out, you know, at the highest levels because it draws tourism, then it's certainly not being run like a business, because to make Charles and Camilla the face of that monarchy as opposed to one of, you know, Charles's kids like William or Harry and their like younger wives and younger families, which would be a more vibrant face of the, you know, monarchy. Not that I care. It shows that it's not being run like a business; it's being run like a monarchy. You know, it's being run like a monarchy that privileges the belief that people born from a specific line are deserving of special treatment because they are born inherently better. If it were being run like a business, they would say, okay, well, yeah, Charles, we're going to make William and Kate the head of the crown because like people want that. It'll be more exciting. You know, from a monetary standpoint, you might be dead in 10 years and then we're going to spend another $7 billion to bury you. Not a good look, you know, from a like, this is a cuck mindset standpoint, like making him your king makes a lot of sense. I just think that like we're going to see a lot of people sort of become less a fan of the monarchy now that it's just some old guy in charge who is just becoming king as opposed to someone who's been queen their entire life. So even like the most shallow like girl boss arguments are going to fade away and we just have another, you know, guy king, I guess, even though it's like such a shallow reading. It's just another population of people who are just not going to be as interested anymore.
Yeah.
Wait, like I don't get the tourism argument either. Like no one is saying that like end the monarchy and knock down all of those historical buildings.
Well, I'm
like
saying
there will
that,
still be.
I'm a marginal.
there we are. I would keep them up just for the historical aspect. People can still visit those places when the monarchy ends. I mean,
your mic's cutting out, Bender.
Yeah, Bender, we might need to have you reconnect. You're doing a little bit of a flutter.
MI6 is shutting down Matt Bender's mic for speaking ill of the Queen.
Well, did you, because I just read an IM about this, that Hassan was temporarily banned after he was like celebrating paintballing on Twitch when the Queen died.
In the castles?
I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to find the IM.
That would be so fun. I mean, the best use I've ever seen for the like Buckingham Palace and that sort of stuff is in Assassin's Creed, the one set in London. You can go and assassinate people.
Oh, no way.
It's pretty cool. Like you can go down the big fancy hallways and stuff like that. So yeah.
That's like almost better than Flight Simulator.
It's similar.